All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Blackbird News, where everything is connected. How are you all doing? Good to see you. Excuse me. We're live on Rockfin, Callin, and on YouTube. And welcome back. Sorry I missed you all yesterday. I hate missing shows. Choir Boy says, great article about bills the Tennessee General Assembly is reviewing using the 10th Amendment to protect from constitutional abuse via nullification. Okay. Yeah. We should be able to nullify unconstitutional federal actions. Why not? Greeting. We're live on Callin as well. What's up, Callin listeners? How are you? There's so much to talk about today. I don't really know where to begin. But the reason why my thumbnail is about the moon. We'll just start off with weirdness first. We'll go weird right in the beginning. Slow News Day posted this. We'll just go weird first, and then we'll go back to climate change. I don't know what to think about this. We've talked about the moon, and lots of people have great skepticism about whether we had the technology to make it to the moon or not. And some people might look at you with a raised eyebrow and go, "You're crazy." But think real hard about that one, about whether we had the technology to go to the moon in 1969. I've said before, I'm kind of that's one of those theories that's I'm a little undecided on. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't. It would not surprise me. But this is a big deal to me. This is a big deal to me. This is somebody literally saying, this is a WEF, World Economic Forum, or this is from Davos. And we have an astronaut kind of saying, well, we're hoping to develop the technology to go to the moon, and it kind of saying it like, are they gonna admit that we haven't been to the moon anytime soon? Do you think this is a soft admission that we haven't? Because the way he says it makes it seem like we don't have the technology. And there's another interesting article or another clip I saw somewhere from a guy who works for NASA saying that we had the technology to go to the moon, and then unfortunately we destroyed it. And okay, if you believe that one. Yes, Timothy, I agree with you. Anyways, we're going to watch this. We're not going to watch the entire video. It's kind of long, but I just want to play this so that you guys understand, so that you hear this person speak on stage at the World Economic Forum as if we haven't been to the moon yet. I don't think I heard it wrong. I listened to this twice last night. I was like, did I hear it wrong? Did he say the word back? Go back to the moon? Did he say the words? You know, we want to go back, build back better, go to the moon back better. Did he say that? No. He said, we hope to have the technology to go to the moon. This is very interesting. All right, so let's listen to this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is David Newman. I'm the Apollo Program Professor at MIT and the Director of the Media Lab, and it is my great honor to welcome you to our Human Exploration Panel. Exploration is not just back, it is thriving. And we're going to have an incredible discussion about space exploration, but for humanity, thinking about why is this such an exciting time, and the big questions, literally the very big questions. When will we find life elsewhere? How does space benefit Earth? So it's my great honor to introduce our panelists. We have Joseph Akbacher, the ESA, European Space Agency General Director, and we have astronaut Matthias Mattes, who's going to talk to us about the personal experience of living off-planet. He's just recently returned from 6 months on the International Space Station.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So here we see on the slide the 3 destinations where we want to send humans to. The first destination is low Earth orbit. We have the International Space Station. It's not the only station that we have currently in space. We also have the Chinese space station, and in the future we will also see commercial space stations. We use low Earth orbit to perform experiments, to do science in zero gravity. There we can do stuff that we cannot do on our planet Earth, to understand better how systems work, but also to develop new materials, to learn about humans being in such extreme conditions, and to try what we can learn and benefit.
I have to stop right here and say, I mean, he said, or they said that he just got back from the International Space Station, but he's talking as if they don't know, right? How long has the space station been in low Earth orbit? Does anybody know? Something like, at least 20 years. But the way that he's talking about, and I know he's talking about the European space exploration roadmap, so, forgive me. Maybe this is the salient point that I missed the twice that I watched this, was that Europeans want to go to the moon. Okay. But he's saying we don't have the technology. Well, if the United States had the technology 50 years ago, or what, how long is it now? Yeah, 50 years ago. Why wouldn't the Europeans have the technology now? Like, why, really? I mean, we all have nuclear weapons. They all have nuclear weapons. They all have access to the same technology. So why wouldn't they have the technology? Why is he talking? Hold on, guys. The people that are being skeptical in the chat. That's cool, but hold on a second. I'm trying to explain some points here. Why is he even talking about low Earth orbit as being something that they have to study? Haven't they? Wasn't he just in the International Space Station? Hasn't it been up there for 20 years? Don't they already know all the things that they're supposed to know? He's talking as if they haven't even been to low Earth orbit. Or they don't even know anything about low Earth orbit. That's how he's talking. That's how he is talking. Anyways.
Back to improve the healing or like medicine on Earth. So we will continue also flying to low Earth orbit because it's a wonderful destination, and it's also of an economic benefit because in the future we also hope to start some early manufacturing there. The next destination is the moon, and flying to the moon, it's 1,000 times further than the ISS. So ISS flies in 400 kilometers altitude, the moon is 400,000 kilometers altitude, so it's further away. It's also more challenging because we first, before we can land there, we need to get there, so we need more powerful rockets. You need better technology. And before we land there...
Wait, before we land there, we need to get there. I know you guys... Hold on. I know you guys, I think it's funny, but why is this guy this is an astronaut. Apparently this is an astronaut who's lived on the International Space Station. Why is he saying that we don't have the technology to actually get to the moon? I just, this is somewhat mind-boggling to me.
We also are planning to install a new space station that is flying around the moon. It's called a Deep Space Gateway. And on the Deep Space Gateway, we want to use this platform also to learn how we can later on travel to the third destination, which is Mars. Flying to Mars, it's in theory possible today with the technology that we have, but then we would go there, we would fill up all our rocket with food and...
You know what, guys? For the skeptical, I'm just going to play this again, and I'll leave it here because we have other things to talk about. Look. I want you to logically explain to me. And I'm not going to say that I'm going to take your logical explanation very seriously, but I want you to logically explain to me why we don't have the technology to get to the moon. The European Space Agency, we don't have the technology to get to the moon. He just said that. Unbelievable to me that specific to Europe. Really? So China, we've been there. We got there 50 years ago, and we all have nuclear weapons, and we all have these amazing technologies, but yet somehow the technology to go to the moon, only the U.S. had it, and nobody's figured it out in 50 years. Like, I'm sorry. If you want to try to explain that to me, be my guest. And I will say to you, I don't believe you. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous on its face. Everybody has satellites, everybody has nuclear weapons, everybody has access to the same technology. We went there 50 years ago, and somehow they don't have the technology. Ridiculous. Yeah, and I'm just gonna say, ridiculous. It's just a ridiculous explanation. Yeah. I'm going to play this again, this part where he said we want the technology to get to the moon. Before we land on the moon, we have to get the technology to get to the moon. I'm going to play it again. We use
low Earth orbit to perform experiments, to do science in zero gravity. There we can do stuff that we cannot do on our planet Earth, to understand better how systems work, but also to develop new materials, to learn about humans being in such extreme conditions, and to try what we can learn and benefit and bring back to improve the healing or like medicine.
Why are you on the space station?
Earth. So we will continue also flying to low Earth orbit because it's a wonderful destination, and it's also of an economic benefit because in the future we also hope to start some early manufacturing there. The next destination is the moon. And flying to the moon, it's 1,000 times further than the ISS. So ISS flies in 400 kilometers altitude. The moon is 400,000 kilometers altitude. So it's further away. It's also more challenging because before we can land there, we need to get there. So we need more powerful rockets. You need better technology. And before we land there, we also are planning to install a new space station that is flying around the moon.
I don't know. Okay, so I don't know. it's mind-boggling to me that this is supposedly an astronaut who has lived on the International Space Station, and he's saying, before we land on the moon, we got to figure out how to get there. Again, every country has access to the same technologies. Every single country, Russia, China, Japan, right? You know, the idea that Europe doesn't have the access to the same technologies that the U.S. has. Okay. I mean, seriously, you gotta work really hard to try and convince me of that one, because I'm gonna say I don't think so. It's just, so I don't know, man. I've said before, I don't think yes, Timothy Martin. They lost the moon rocks and the film. They lost, right, exactly. And that's how it always happens, right? These, super super capable agencies who are so super safe and all about science and stuff like that, and they just lose things. They just lose the moon rocks, which they have. That's a true story. You can go ahead and look that up. They lose the moon rocks. They bury Osama bin Laden's body at sea. They just, Poppy, okay. I have an open mind. I think it's you that don't have an open mind. So, no offense to you. But you're trying to really like do a little pretzel logic here. Where is he from? What does he mean? He is on the International Space Station. Supposedly, he was an astronaut on the space station. He should know all about these things. International Space Station. I just said International Space Station. International. Everybody has access to the same technology. But he's going to come down and go, well, I don't know. Before we land on the moon, we got to get there first. Really? Did he? I mean, I don't know why you would say that. Why would you say that if you're an astronaut on an International Space Station? Are they admitting that they haven't gotten there? Is this guy... okay, Bobby, come on. I'm going to ask you to seriously come on. Every country has access to technology. And this technology, he's from the European Space Agency. He's been on the International Space Station. Is he talking about Estonia? It doesn't have the technology? I mean, I don't, anyways, it's just weird. It's just weird to me that this is, I mean, I found this extremely interesting. I found it extremely interesting that somebody is talking at Davos, talking about, well, hopefully we can get to the moon soon. Before we get to Mars, we got to get to the moon. Okay. I don't know. I just, yeah, absolutely. You can have the link, Poppy. It's just a strange thing to see. I'm confused. I am confused. I guess I'm, I have an open mind, but I'm confused as to why somebody who is supposedly an astronaut on the International Space Station would actually say these words out loud. Why would you say, I don't know if you'll be able to click that link, but you can, I mean, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Denver says, to add some more fuel to this discussion, the ISS can't even stay in orbit without the aid of Russian boosters. Yes, Victory Jin. NASA claims that they destroyed all the telemetry data by accident. Oopsie. Yeah, I watched a NASA scientist actually say, there's a video of a NASA scientist from saying like, yeah, we went to the moon, but unfortunately we destroyed the technology that got us there. And if you believe that, I don't know, more power to you. He's making a sales pitch. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This is one of the weirdest things that I've seen. And I'm skeptical. I've been skeptical on both sides. Like I'm skeptical of the. I'm like, maybe we went to the moon, maybe we didn't. But this is just weird to me. This is very, very weird to me. It's weird to me that somebody would say this out loud. Bella Lugrisi says, if you look at the computer power required to land a SpaceX Falcon boost stage, and the fact that it took them several times to stick a landing, it seems kind of ridiculous that a guy with a joystick landed the capsule on the moon on the first try. 50 plus years prior, right? Right. Yeah, where are the space shuttles though? They're gone too. Space shuttles discontinued, just like the moon trips, discontinued. What's the main argument against it? Oceanic Estate, the Van Allen belts. I mean, I've heard all the arguments. Van Allen belts. It's just weird. I'm just playing this for just to say, hey, here's this guy who is an astronaut telling you straight up on a stage with like a graphic saying like, before we land on the moon, we got to get there first. Like, why would you say that? Why would you say that? You are from the European Space Agency. You are an astronaut on the. Why would you say that? Anyways. Oceanic State says microscopic space dust can rip apart any shuttle or structure at those speeds. Okay. I actually haven't heard that one, but I haven't heard that one. Anyways, I don't know, guys. I don't know. I watched that clip, several times, at least 2 times, if not 3 times, trying to say, did I misunderstand what this guy said? No, he said that's what he said, and I was like, this is kind of wild. Anyways, all right. Anyways, let's move on. That is bizarre to me. Okay, I'll try and be open-minded. If you have a really good explanation for why he would say that, and not like where is he from, or not, oh, he lives in Europe, explain to me why he would say that, please. Hold on one second. All right, cool. We got a caller. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. What's up? Let's make sure I can hear you. What up, sir? You got to take yourself off mute. And then I got to make sure that I can hear you.
Hello.
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 Hello. What's going on, man?
How you doing, Kevin?
Good, man. What's going on? This is Osama, by the way, for everybody. or the man of
Yeah,
many, the man of many
I just wanted to
aliases.
many names. Yeah, hey, you will do whatever. Um, yeah, I mean, we're shooting off all these rockets. We're launching all these Starlink satellites and doing all the things in space, and each rocket is just shredding whatever stratospheric ozone is left. I mean,
Right.
it's a big concern.
Right.
I mean, we're noticing the sun. I mean, like I never used to have to wear sunscreen. I'm Sicilian, so
Yeah.
like never was a thing until like last year. I was at a friend's funeral. We were mostly under the trees. It was spring, and in New York, and I was torched. My head was like on fire.
Yeah.
It's really intense, and we're it's a big factor killing all the trees and crops. The skin cancer rates are going to go crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I mean, it's just one more thing that we're doing to just annihilate the life carrying capacity of the planet.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
what's worse? I mean, I between the nuclear tests and the hairspray, which I really don't think hairspray was as big a culprit as they say.
No, I don't think so either.
And you keep getting every couple of months you come up with this, oh, the ozone's healing, it's getting better, hooray, and it's totally not true in my
Oh
experience.
no, it's not.
And it's not true if you look at the data. We never had UVC reaching the ground before. I mean, this is just my concern. I think the whole moon landing thing, it has a whole bunch of problems. I mean, why would they tell us the truth? They lie to us about everything else.
Right. Right.
It's kind of odd. I just, I don't really hang my hat on that. My dad worked on the guidance systems for the lunar module.
Okay.
He thinks we went,
He thinks we went.
but
Okay.
or he thought we went. He did. I mean, he worked on it. He went to Huntsville. He installed the stuff, racks of equipment, laser gyro, all of this stuff. It was going on. I lived through it.
Okay. Well, no,
My
that I
neighbor,
mean that's
was
exactly
working
what.
on it at Grumman.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I want to hear. Like, I guess. I mean, he witnessed it, and he thinks these things actually got us to the moon.
He did believe that, and it's because he saw the hardware. I mean, they built the hardware, but there's the Van Allen radiation belts. They're in a sardine can with they'd need like massive lead shielding to survive that kind of there's a lot of radiation in space.
Yes.
I mean, we're working on it here on Earth, but
Right.
I mean, William Shatner, if anyone wants to go look at William Shatner's trip to space, he kind of calls the whole thing. It's death. We live in an oasis of life amidst the blackness of unsurvivability.
Right.
And I could I could say that this is the gem of the universe, and
Yeah.
what are we doing to it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Well, we're absolutely.
chances are there are other life forms out there somewhere, but there's been no. I mean, if they are, they're giving us a wide berth.
Yes. Yeah.
But why? How precious is this?
Exactly.
How precious is the beauty of this planet?
Exactly.
Uh,
It's like we live in a
I just,
paradise in the middle of space.
yeah,
Right?
it's like
amazing.
tuned for us, right
Right.
in the right place, right in the right, Of course,
I just
it's tentative. It's we're
yeah, yeah. So what do you think about what this guy is saying? Do you think there's a discrepancy between what he's saying and what I'm hearing?
no, I no, I think he's sincere, but I just I don't know if I would. It would be uh, my my investigation wouldn't agree.
Your investigation
If
wouldn't
that
agree.
makes any sense.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it a weird thing to say. And I'm hung up on
Yeah.
the fact that pretty much every country has the same technology that we have, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have the same technology. So why would it be like we went
Pretty
to the
much.
moon? We went to the moon, but nobody else did. Right?
We went to the moon, but nobody else did.
I can. There's an echo going on.
Yeah. Well,
There's an echo. Sir.
no, I got headphones on.
Oh, okay, that's weird.
I am
I
on
don't
the
know why.
computer because my app stopped working when I opened it up.
Yeah.
When I updated it, rather,
Okay.
the app won't work.
Okay.
So I figured I'd try this. I just wanted to try it and put my 2 cents in on
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in.
on that the other aspect of it, not
Yeah.
not really related. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff that people can look at out there and draw their own conclusions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm presenting this as, I don't know, kind of a strange piece of evidence. This particular statement by this astronaut, right? I find it a little weird, and I wanted to play it. That's all. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to tell anybody what to think. I'm just saying, it's very strange to me somebody would say that. There's some things that are not even more so not lining up in my mind, But if I was skeptical before,
Right.
Yeah,
I was skeptical before.
yeah,
Yeah. No, it's pretty odd, but it's all odd to me.
yeah, yeah.
I haven't had an even day yet this week.
Right.
It's interesting. Anyway, I'll let you go. Good to talk to you.
All right.
In here, and it's a great show. Just a great show.
All right. Thanks,
Top
man.
notch.
I appreciate
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for always being there.
All right.
Peace.
Lots of love.
You too.
Right on.
Peace, brother.
Bye.
All right, we'll take a call from Fantomas. What's up, Fantomas? We're just getting weird today. Just straight off weird.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. About the thing about the moon. See, the thing about the moon is, to me, I was never really skeptical on getting to the moon. I would have been skeptical if they said, we got to the moon using a teleporter. If they said that, I would have been like, wait a minute, you were using a what? A teleporter? Well, why aren't you teleporting anywhere else? I would have got skeptical there. But when I watch the documentary and see how they travel to the moon,
Yeah.
I guess I can see how it could happen. I can see the mathematicians that were working on it. Apparently, when you do talk to NASA, they do get kind of angry about it because they have to answer this over and over and over again. So my only answer to your query about the guy saying that, you can chalk that up as a misstatement. I don't know how old he was, but those types of things happen all the time, where somebody says something wrong because they were just speaking really fast, and then they can't take it back. That's what I would say. It's something like that.
I guess it's hard for me to believe that he stood on a stage with a graphic, and this seems like a very, seems like a presentation, pretty well, well thought out. Like, it wasn't like he got up on stage and he was ad-libbing. He had a graphic behind him saying like, well, we want to go to Mars, but first we got to go to the moon, right? Or that's our plan, is to go to the moon. I don't know.
Well, I operate on the James Randi extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and I think for the most part of traveling to the moon, where it concerns the math and everything, in consideration the preparation that it took. I mean, when you watch the documentaries and stuff like that, it seems like it was very incredible as an expedition to get there, and they tried their hardest, and it seems like they got something. If it's not the moon, they got somewhere in space. I don't. Maybe that's the key. I think they went. If they didn't go to the moon, they went someplace. I'll tell you that. It was a stage set, like people saying it was like Stanley Kubrick who designed it or whatever.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of evidence on either side. I've seen lots of pieces of evidence on either side of it, but
I mean, the hardest part about all of this is where it concerns the TV makes shit a nightmare. What I mean by that is once people see it, you can't talk them out of it.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's it. Well, and that's the thing is where did we watch the moon landing on TV? Live TV, right? So when somebody says this is live TV and we're watching this on TV and it's live, well then it has to be real, right? It actually happened. And
you know,
that's a kind of a place where things can get a little gray, but you don't. But to the masses, it's like, well, I watched it on TV.
There is precedent. I mean, when you go back to H.G. Wells when he read War of the Worlds, I mean, Orson Welles read the H.G. Wells book,
right?
And the fact that everyone just started going like into like paranoia. Amazing that they were able to broadcast that on the radio. First off, and to get people so revved up where they put rifles in the sky and were aimed. I think that probably someone was killed during that night with all the guns and all the stuff that was happening in terms of just like looking in the sky and everyone's paranoid about something. I doubt very much that nothing happened in terms of like someone didn't go to the hospital or something like that. If you kind of create that kind of level of hysteria, so I'm with you.
Yeah,
you know, where it concerns. Once it got to the TV, and we've seen that level of sophistication before, where they didn't even have TV with the H.G. Wells broadcast.
Right.
Well, it's almost impossible to. I know a lot of people like to say, "Well, we can prove it." Well, you can say you can prove it by math and by physics and by people that were there during the launch. But the problem with that is that we go back to the issue of they weren't inside the space shuttle, they were at the launch, they were in the control room, and then you have all of this hysteria around it of people just excited that we were doing something.
Sure.
And it was a necessary feat to get there. So
Sure.
it does bring up a lot of questions, for sure.
Yeah, and you know, to go back to the War of the Worlds thing, there's a through line, I think, and maybe it's a wobbly one, but there was the War of the Worlds, there was a moon landing, there was a 9/11, there was, you know, and then now there's now there's balloons, right, or UFOs, right, over North America. Like, it's proven that people will absolutely believe something if it's, you know, if it's coming through a particular sort of media, and you know, you can really get people going, right? And I feel like that's what the UFO thing was a couple weeks ago, was like literally, like, you know, no pun intended, but a trial balloon of like, how are people going to respond, right? They were just putting it out there. Well, we've shot down an unidentified flying object. How are people going to respond to this? Are they going to freak out? Are they going to run for the hills? Are they going to call their Congress people? Are they going to, you know, call a military base? You know, they were trying to see, you know, how gullible people were. And when they realized people are not gullible at all, right? Like, everybody was like, really? You shot down a UFO? Wow. You know, what time is the Super Bowl on?
Yeah.
Literally, like, nobody cared. And they were like, oh, well, I guess we'll have to walk that one back.
Well, my personal,
you know, we'll have to scuttle that whole thing.
my personal theory on that is killed so many birds with so many stones. And what I mean by that, we are seeing a extreme amount of pilots coming forward, and people in the military, the Air Force, the Navy coming forward who were saying, yeah, I witnessed something like this, and then they were getting their wings, so to speak, no pun intended,
Right.
on building their confidence and going out in public and saying, oh, I'm not crazy, I saw that too.
Right.
But then you have this moment right now where if you say you saw something strange in the sky, and whether that was super technology from a different country or not, somebody's going to say, yeah, you know what, you probably didn't, it was probably just a weather balloon, chances are that. I mean, and nobody else is going to want to have to deal with that kind of skepticism put forward at you.
Exactly. Well, here's the funny thing. I can actually say that I see things in the sky, and people are like, no, you're not. But if somebody tells me, well, I saw it on TV, and I said, well, something that you saw on TV is more real than something that somebody is actually witnessing in the sky, right? Like, so is watching something actually, happen in real time, in real life.
I don't know.
In the sky. So I don't know.
I don't know if we talked about this, but Bootsy and George Clinton both tell a story when they were in Toronto. The reason why Mothership Connection happened.
Oh, please tell me. Let me know.
It's one of the most amazing stories I've heard. And the thing about it is it doesn't seem like they're lying, because every time they tell it, they say the same word for word encounters. So
okay,
they were in Toronto. They were rehearsing and playing gigs there in Canada, and probably avoiding all kinds of things where it concerns substances and stuff like that. But apparently, they were driving back one night, George Clinton and Bootsy in the car, and all of a sudden the lights on the road, all of the light posts just went out one after the other.
Okay.
And then they said they saw this metallic blob on the road just completely cover and envelope the car.
Oh, wow.
There was loss of time.
Right.
So the crazy thing about this incident is what inspired the album Mothership Connection. I had no idea about any of this. And when
Right.
George talks about it, it's absolutely insane. And the fact that Bootsy says it word for word makes me go, holy shit, like maybe they did encounter something. But the Mothership Connection is actually based on a real event that happened in Toronto when they were driving their car.
Right.
And light post, all of the lights went out, and they didn't. The funny thing about it is they didn't really use it. We lived in a weird time at that point. They didn't really use it like to go to the press and say, yeah, this actually happened. They told the story much later in their life when they started realizing like, oh, it's not that much of a big a deal and people won't think we're as crazy or something. But
Yeah.
still, it's pretty wild, you know?
Yeah, totally. That is wild. Well, I mean, there's been lots of people who have said they've had, visitations or encounters or whatever, and like.
But there's two reasons why I say that. This week on Drink Champs on Nor and DJFN, George Clinton is the guest, so you want to tune in to listen because he talks a lot about sampling, licensing, music history,
Yeah.
the music industry, and it's supposed to be a really good one. It'll be live streaming, or they'll broadcast it on Thursday evening, and then you can catch it whenever you decide to watch it. So I would check it out.
Nice.
George Clinton's going to be on Drink Champs. You type in Drink Champs, George Clinton, you'll
Yeah.
see it. But
Okay.
For now, that's all I got.
All right. Thanks, Fantomas. Appreciate
All
it.
right, later.
All right. I know, guys. I know we went way off. We went way off onto a side alley, today. I understand, and I appreciate your willingness to come along for the ride and hang out, and people are going to have different opinions. I get it. I feel strongly sometimes about my opinions. And hopefully I didn't offend anybody, but we all. I'm just trying to put some evidence out there that might not just spark a conversation, but spark some thinking. I don't know, some investigating, some consideration. And if you want to reject everything I was talking about today, that's fine too. That's fine too. But I found this. Again, I just to go back to your point, Poppy. He said that the European Space Agency hasn't gotten to the moon. I still have an issue. My issue is that if the U.S. had the technology 50 years ago, I have the issue that no other country has replicated it, especially when we have the access to the same technology. Literally, we all have the access to the same technology. Like, if you can think about any other technology, there's really, with the exception of maybe a few variations, are about a particular military piece of equipment, but all countries, especially the major superpowers, have the access to the same technology. And there are so many countries out there that have nuclear weapons, right, and have fighter jets, and they can reverse engineer, right? You can get anything from the U.S. and reverse engineer it. That's how China has gotten a lot of their technology. So I just don't. It's hard for me to believe. It's hard for me to actually go, we did this thing 50 years ago, and no one else figured it out in the next 50 years, or nobody's reverse engineered something or infiltrated. Nobody was got the secret sauce. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. That's just me. That's me. I don't believe it. Anyway, so just weird information out there. I don't know. There's weird stuff being said out there all out in the public. There was a whole bunch of other. Clayton Halligan says Russia, China, Japan, India, and the European Space Agency have all sent stuff to the moon, just not humans. Yeah. And Bella says there's a quarantine grid around the Earth to protect the rest of the galaxy. Humans cannot leave low Earth orbit. Right. Sounds about right. But anyways, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. I know it got a little weird. We'll get back to regular news stories tomorrow. We spent the entire show talking about this today, and there were so many stories I missed because I was gone yesterday. There's I have an entire, Biden went to Kiev, and with Russia's permission, by the way, or, Russia was alerted that Biden would be going to Kiev. There's a lot of weird stuff around that. There was a Rage Against the War Machine thing this weekend, and there's stuff about that. Schulte says NASA ran out of funding. Going to the moon is expensive, and it's actually a difficult thing to do. It can be done, but what were we going to do up there? Look back at the Earth and wave. Okay. I don't know. Come to your own conclusions about that. But I found that weird. That's all. All right, guys. That does it for me. That's the end of the show. I didn't think I was going to spend the entire show talking about this. But I did. And okay, we'll be back. It's okay. We'll follow up tomorrow with some other stories. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll see you all. Oh, before I forget, buymeacoffee.com/BlackBearNews. Good way to support the show. Rockfin tips. Good way to support the show. YouTube tips. Also cool. Venmo, Cash App in my description box below. Thank you all for who support the channel and who have already supported the channel. And I'll be back tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And until next time, peace. Bye.